We were like a week early.
Larry Roundtree just got cut, everybody.
It's breaking news. If you were relying on Larry Roundtree, he's gone.
That's how we start the stream. Larry Roundtree cut by the LA Chargers. Well, that's not what the important thing is of this stream is today. I guess we're
Roundtree news.
We are mock drafting again. We did this last Monday. Now this may or may not become a thing. I have no idea, but 2 weeks in a row now, starting to
feels like a thing.
Starting to become a thing. So yeah, we're just gonna do another mock draft, another Dynasty Superflex startup mock draft. Because and we have one coming up real soon. The Listener League startup is starting probably, if not today, probably tomorrow.
I haven't joined the league still.
You should probably do that. I think Russ told me that you didn't.
It's in my email, and I keep looking at it, and I hate MFL. I'm like, I could just hold off having to enter that site as long as humanly possible. That's what this is.
So you're gonna have to get in on that, and then we can start the draft. If you're the last person, I'm gonna be mad at you, but
I'll join after this. Maybe I'll think about it.
But we are. Oh, we're full.
That was fast.
Oh, nope. Nobody look at what's going on. Nope. Okay, there we go. Can I still keep this up? No. Hold on.
No, 100% no. What do you?
No, wait. Hold on. We might have something in the background.
This is why this isn't a thing. This level of incompetence is a big problem.
I'm not putting a background. Screw that.
They're fine.
So
we're fine.
Should I just hit start?
I mean, that's how we typically would start these things. Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm hitting start. 7 Haynes A. You are on the clock.
Oh, damn it. It was me. I forgot the.
Oh, Justin. Yes. Dude, I've learned you've yelled at me a couple of times while we do these mocks that I have my notifications and sounds on.
Interesting, Jalen Hurts. Are you good with Hurts? You good with Hurts over Mahomes and Allen? Is he in that tier?
I mean, I like to say that he's in the tier, but I feel like you have to take Mahomes or Allen first just because they have a larger body of work, right?
And he's not in that tier. If you have to take them ahead of him, he's not in that tier.
But there's rankings within the tier.
Yes, that's true. But if you're not okay taking one of the guys in that tier ahead of all the others,
then they're not in the tier.
Not in the tier.
Then maybe the answer is Mahomes is in a tier of his own, and then Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are in their own.
I think it's Mahomes, Allen, Hurts.
Hurts is in a tier of his own, and then he's separate from Lamar and Burrow and Herbert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so. And then basically, as long as Hurts does exactly what we expect him to do this year, then he's in that elite tier. But you got to see it twice, right? I mean, Mahomes and Allen have done it for half a decade. Like they are the different animal right now for fantasy.
Yeah. That's really all it is. If Hurts does, and not even that he has to repeat what he did last year, but just be top 5 again or top 7, and be a stud.
Top 5 again. Top 7's not going to get it done. Top 7, you're in the Burrow, Allen, or Burrow, Herbert tier of like you have a wide range of outcomes. Right? I feel like Mahomes and Allen are basically top 3 no matter what. Like if they're not there, I'm shocked.
Lamar was QB 8 the year after his MVP season. Did that kill his dynasty ranking?
It dropped him a little bit. Like people were ready to put him with Mahomes and Allen, and then fell off just a little bit, just because it wasn't, like a smashing repeat of what he did the previous year.
Still had 1,000 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns.
Right, like it could still be like Justin Herbert. Like Justin Herbert had an absolutely elite year 2. If he had continued that, he'd be up with Mahomes and Allen, but he doesn't. So he drops back by Burrow and Lamar. So like that's how, like when you're that high up, I'm going to get real nitpicky about my tiers.
Oh yeah. You have to, for sure. You're splitting hairs.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So while we wait for it to come back on my end, a bunch of quarterbacks and then Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and now Bijan went 111. This is like as chalk as you could possibly get for the first round, and there's a quarterback to end it. So, but Jay's asking, does anybody do one quarterback dynasty anymore? Asking for a friend.
I prefer it. I absolutely prefer it, but everybody on our YouTube hates it, so we don't do that many mock drafts with it.
It's one of those things where every time we do a super flex, we always get the couple of people that say, well, why don't you do one quarterback leagues? Because people still play one quarterback leagues. And then whenever we do a one quarterback league, we get all these people saying, LOL, who does one quarterback anymore?
Dude, so I love one quarterback. I love, especially in Dynasty.
I do too.
It's fun. And I get like, well, a lot of the quarterbacks don't matter. That's very true. But I like good, old-fashioned, traditional fantasy more than I will ever like Superflex.
Yeah. Yeah, I
say traditional, that includes PPR. I'm not going that far back, but
no. I 100% agree. I've been of the opinion that Superflex has just been a Band-Aid on the real issue with quarterbacks for like years now. But yeah, Superflex has just become it's now become what PPR was like 6 or 7 years ago, where it's like starting to already flip to being the norm.
Oh, I don't think it's close to being the norm.
And in Dynasty, I think it is.
That's fair. You're up. You know that, right?
I know. I've been debating between Dak and Tua in my head this entire time, and I'll take Tua
over AJ Brown. You taking Tua over AJ Brown?
I'm following my strategy. I'm taking 2 quarterbacks off the rip. This is the way I'm going.
All right. Interesting.
We'll see how it pans out. This is a mock draft.
You can get a little weird. Yes, I mean, okay. That start Jefferson AJ Brown
is really fun.
It's
Jason Garrett Wilson. That's basically both people around me both went double wide receivers. I went double QB.
Yeah, it's a very fun start, but those builds can go sideways very quickly. Like very, very quickly. They could just go off the rails if QBs do not fall to you. Like if Dak Prescott,
I'm assuming Dak's going to get taken. A couple quarterbacks are going to be taken, or a couple rookie quarterbacks are going to be taken. Kyler might honestly still be taken too.
Yeah, like you have to kind of nail it. Like you have to get really lucky for those builds to work out the way like you hope they work out. Because you're loaded at wide receiver. Jesus.
What are you picking? And then we have a question in the comments.
So this one, I'm looking at quarterback. I'm looking at quarterback here. I'm looking at Breece Hall, and I'm looking at wide receivers. I'm not going Kelsey, as fun as that would be. I don't want to start off and really force my hand win now. I know we're both kind of against that. We like keeping the door open.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I will go QB as well.
There it is.
I'll take Dak.
I like it.
Now I can ignore this. I can just ignore it, and I'm happy. Like I again, first 3 rounds, I would like to leave with 2 quarterbacks. I prefer Dak over Bryce Young. I know Young's ahead in ADP, but if I have Mahomes, I don't like. My goal is to try to win this season. You're automatically going to be competitive if you have Mahomes, and taking Bryce Young as the QB2 just really drops your ceiling for that first season.
Right.
Long term, it's great, but not where I'd like to be having Mahomes as my starter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead and pick again. Then we got questions.
Got lots of questions.
There it is. You're debating Breece Hall at the 210.
Me too, anyways. I'm fine with it. I think it's like over the wide receivers that are left, like Diggs, Kupp, JSN, London. I'm not taking JSN and London over Breece Hall. I just can't do that. As much as I would like to go wide receiver there, the board just doesn't shake out the way I want it to.
Interesting to see that Jahmyr Gibbs went right above Breece Hall. So he fits as the RB3 in this mock, which you and I have been pushing for him to be the Dynasty RB3, but it was behind McCaffrey and ahead of Hall, which is not where we both have him, but it's close enough. It's in there.
It's okay. Well, and even in that video we put out, or that I put out, like really breaking down Jahmyr Gibbs, there's a conversation to put CMC ahead of him. There's a conversation to put Barkley ahead of him. It's a conversation. It's not a choice I'm making, but I get why people would make that move.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings it back with Kelsey and CMC, so that team makes sense. Like that build makes a lot of sense because you are hyper win now.
Yeah, they're probably going to win. And
congrats on the title.
Congrats. So Board asked the question, what are some of your thoughts on having the 112 and then coming back with the 2.01 on the turn, not going quarterback in a Superflex Dynasty startup with a third round reversal? So you would have the 112 201, and then you would also have the 3.01. For those of you that don't know what third round reversal is it the third round flips entirely. So 101 has 101 and 212, and then 312. 112 has 112, 201, and then 301. And then it just snakes the rest of the way.
I'm less inclined to go quarterback. I don't love taking Watson and Richardson at the turn there anyways. I don't like taking them over Lamb and Wilson and A.J. Brown. I'd probably double tap two of them, and then typically you'll see Tua or Dak available at the 301. Like that as far as ADP goes, that's usually where they're available. So you can still grab one of those guys most times. On average, you can grab one of them. Mm-hmm. So I'm much more inclined to do that because I know I should be able to get them or Bryce Young or Kyler at the turn, almost guaranteed.
That was a panic pick as well. I don't know what I'm doing here anymore. We're gonna find out. Justin.
What is happening?
There's still. So what was going through my head was there's still a decent number of wide receivers that I wouldn't mind as my wide receiver 1. So I'm hoping that because 110 went Chase and Wilson, that he's not going to go wide receiver, although maybe he will because he prioritizes wide receiver.
Do it.
And then maybe 111 because they took Bijan and Lamb. They're looking at the quarterback position as well.
Mm-hmm.
I also really love Mark Andrews for this year and for beyond.
He's going to be fantastic.
So we'll see what comes back to me at the wide receiver position. I don't know. I'm scared. I am scared.
I was gonna say, so am I. But like, are you? Because I know you typically tend to go wide receiver heavy. Are you comfortable? Like where I went, Breece Hall. Would you go JSN or Drake London over him? Over Breece?
No, probably not. I probably would have gone for the value of Breece
that's
Hall.
Where I fall. He's slipping in a lot of drafts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. He's injured,
and he hasn't practiced or
So I get it, but it's Breece Hall. He'll be fine. I'm less inclined to take Breece in redraft unless he slips to like the 4th round, but he's not falling that far in most redraft leagues right now.
Right. Board says thank you for your 3rd round reversal advice.
Tip of the cap.
Jason's asking, would you pick Justin Jefferson over Justin Fields? He's in the 8th pick in a startup, 14-man superflex, start 10.
Nope, 14-man definitely has me going quarterback early.
That was absolutely the answer for me as well. Because, I mean, if you think about it mathematically, 14 teams in superflex, that means if everybody optimally is taking – we'll get to that. But in 14 team, everybody hopefully is optimally playing a quarterback in their QB2 spot. So that's 28 quarterbacks every single week that are just being played, not even rostered, just being played. And then you think of the fact that if you want to have a backup, if you want to have a backup, then you have to have one of the 4 other remaining basically starting quarterbacks, right?
Yep. Elite QB plays. It plays. Damn it.
Yeah. So then if you're able to basically 14 team superflex just ups the value of every single quarterback because they're more in demand because fewer people. There may be teams that aren't starting a second quarterback because their second quarterback is Mac Jones because that's just how the draft board went for them. And maybe they're strong elsewhere, but mathematically, there's only 32 starting quarterbacks every single week, and there are 28 potential quarterbacks being started every week in a 14-team superflex. So I would take Justin Fields, lock down the quarterback position, figure out the wide receiver position after that.
100%. 100%. All right, so Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Can you justify him over DK Metcalf or Cooper Kupp or Devontae Adams? Because
I can't, or Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison also went 406 too. He went ahead of Kupp and Adams. And
can you justify those? I can't.
No. If you guys are if you're watching this right now, can you drop your reasoning for that? Because I'd be interested to hear it.
DK Metcalf especially, I don't get. DK Metcalf is slipping because of JSN. Totally get it. He shouldn't be. Like I'm just not elite wide receivers in terms of target share continue to maintain elite wide receiver target shares typically. So he's the guy that just keeps slipping. Like I'm taking DK. Are you taking DK over Diggs? In a startup, I am. In an existing league where I'm competing, probably not. But
I think that's my answer as well too. It's one of those ones where that really locks you in a startup into what you're doing in year one. DK just gives you more of the flexibility. But I do agree in an established league, if you're contending, I'd much rather have Diggs than DK.
You know what I've learned so far is I hate not having a wide receiver through 3 rounds. That's what I've learned. I
remember last week you said imagine not having 2 wide receivers through 7 or something like that. So yeah, I guess that means that you got to start taking some receivers.
I took Jerry Jeudy. I don't even like that pick. like I'm not happy I made that pick at all.
CZOP YouTube member, by the way, in the chat.
Join the YouTube membership. Do it.
His guess is potential of Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison's ceilings and what they could become. Chat.
There he is. Bottom.
There it is. This build is for next year. So if it's for next year, just out of curiosity, not DK Metcalf, not. I guess you just prefer Quentin over Watson over Addison.
Kupp is old. That is true. I don't believe DK is capped, but I get the hesitation.
You're talking about DK Metcalf in a video here soon, right?
Yeah, him and Drake London. Very excited. I like my DK Metcalf segment. I think it's good. I think it's a good segment.
Well, there we go.
Man, like wide receiver's tough here. I do not want to reach on wide receiver at all. Like I don't want to take Cooper Kupp because he's injured. Oh, this is ugly.
So yeah, go ahead, because I feel like this kind of comes in with a couple of the comments that we're also getting to about some of this, how this draft has gone.
No, screw it. We're taking value. We're going Cooper Kupp.
That's a phenomenal value, dude.
Like that's where like we talk about all the time. I hate going older, but Cooper Kupp in the 5th round. How can you? I cannot take him basically 20 picks past ADP.
I thought about taking him instead of DK. You got him a whole round later.
Exactly. So like I took Jerry Jeudy over him, hoping somebody would take Cooper Kupp. He wouldn't come back to me. And here we are. So that's fine. Like, again, I need wide receiver. Long term, I am not set at wide receiver by any stretch of the imagination. But this year, I am very happy right now. Like that works, and that plays much better with Jerry Jeudy as a wide receiver 2 than a wide receiver 1 on anybody's team.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in this mock in terms of the running back position. We got a comment asking, how do you guys think about JT falling so much? Getting him in the 3rd seems like crazy value, and he almost fell to the 4th. He went at the 312. So literally 1 pick away from being a 4th round pick in this mock. And I feel like this is just kind of a general.
There's city noises coming from me.
Yeah, I can hear it. That's Chicago's live and bright in the AM. But
I live near a hospital.
But yeah, so Jonathan Taylor falls to almost the 4th round, and then you can look at all the other running back ADPs, and it's just kind of a, you just kind of notice that Jacobs in the 5th, Pollard in the 5th, Najee in the 5th, Stevenson in the 5th, even Saquon is a 4th round pick in here too. Have you noticed this as kind of like a trend as people are trying to prioritize the wide receiver position? You throw in the top 3 tight ends that went, and you're noticing that a lot of the running backs are falling in startup drafts because people are really trying to just prioritize this wide receiver position.
Yeah, it's really started to push running backs down boards like heavily. In any league that you want to consider, quote unquote sharp, people that play Dynasty a lot. This is what happens every single draft. Like I'm in a startup right now with some buddies from high school and college that it's not people that play Dynasty a ton, and running backs are going very high still. Like the average people that play fantasy are going to continue to take running backs very highly. Where if you live in this YouTube, Twitter bubble, wide receivers are massively, not overvalued, but massively boosted in value. So this just happens when you get people that play a lot of Dynasty, which I assume if you're mock drafting with us in the beginning of August, I'm assuming you play a lot of Dynasty. You are just valuing the safety and longevity of wide receiver, which I think is the right thing to do, but it does create crazy value. I mean, last year you were not seeing Breece Hall in the third round. You were seeing him around where Bijan Robinson's going. Same with Jonathan Taylor. Like those guys were borderline first, second round picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, a first round NFL running back going in the third round, would have never happened 2 years ago. So everything's just really starting to slide down the board, and it does create value. You got to be willing to pull the trigger. Like Tony Pollard in the 5th, Ramondre Stevenson in the 5th is insane value. And wide receiver rise up really fast, though.
I just took Nick Chubb at the end of the 5th. And I took him. Ridley and Treylon Burks were the next 2 wide receivers that went off the board. And I took Nick Chubb after Michael Pittman. And like I feel like in normal leagues, you would take Chubb easily over all 3 of those guys.
Chubb over Burks is not even a question to me.
No. And so is Ridley. And I'm a massive Calvin Ridley fan. Have been for years, but I'm taking Nick Chubb every single day.
Yep. Real quick, I want to talk about the 2 teams that started wide receiver heavy. Like I love the build. I don't like Daniel Jones, but I like him in the 5th or the 4th. Like Jones and Cousins that's a good way to have that board fall if you go Chase, Wilson, London to start your draft. I like that build a lot. That feels like a team you would draft.
It does.
4 wide receivers, 2 quarterbacks.
It is a phenomenal start. And it's something that if you are picking at the end of the 1st, this is kind of like the poster child prime example of like, don't reach for the quarterback talent or the lack thereof at the end of the 1st. If everybody down to Justin Fields is gone, and don't be afraid to just take Jamar Chase, take another stud wide receiver that comes back to you. Yeah. And just call it a day there.
Nice.
So
I knew that was coming from a mile away.
Yeah. So basically I feel like this draft board is, I think, really indicative of what's going on in Dynasty right now, where you have all the quarterbacks going at the top of the 1st, and then it just kind of fills out from there as people fill out with their QB2, their wide receiver position, their running back position. And then back down in here, I feel like these are also really good examples of what you could do when you don't take a quarterback in the 1st round. I kind of, there's not really a build here that I don't really like outside of maybe what's going on at 105. He went for 3 running backs, but I mean, he's going to probably be able to start stacking some of these wide receivers in here that we really love. Like if he's able to come out of here, and his running backs are insane, dude. And then if he's able to come out of here with Amari Cooper, with with Keenan Allen, he just took Derrick Henry.
Okay, I mean, here's the thing though. That's 4 of the top 6 running backs
in 2023.
Yeah. Like they will miss some games because they're running backs. It's guaranteed. But he has 4 guys that are potentially 20 plus points every single week. Like that is like that level of potential. So it's like if you're going to lean running back, man, lean into it because you have the best running backs in the league by a mile.
Oh my God. And he's got the tight end 1. He's got a top 5, if not potentially top 3 quarterback in Justin Herbert. I'm telling you, if he comes back around and he takes Keenan Allen, who's going to be a wide receiver 1 this year, this team's going to be unstoppable in 2023. He's going to win the league. He's going to win the money. And he's just going to have free buy-ins to then rebuild this team, tear it down and rebuild it. And it's going to be phenomenal.
Right.
They took Amari from him. So,
well, you said Amari and my heart dropped. I was like, don't do this. I'm like, don't do this right now.
All right. So another question. So we got a quick question from C. Griffin. And 12-team Superflex PPR start 9, AJ Brown and George Kittle or Devonta Smith and Mark Andrews. He worries about Swift's impact in the passing game.
I'm probably gonna go Smith and Andrews. Yeah, I'm gonna go Smith and Andrews just because Kittle has just lost his luster for me. You know what I mean? It's very difficult right now.
Yeah, I think I also go Smith and Andrews. Because I mean, basically, that's if you're looking at this mock draft, that's 2 third-round picks for a mid-second and Kittle's hasn't even been taken.
Well, there you go.
So I'll take the 2 third-round picks in this mock draft. Yeah, I'll take Devonta Smith and Mark Andrews. It's a step down from the wide receiver position, but it is a step up at the tight end position.
Yeah, using mock draft data or startup data to like actually gauge value is always really interesting to me because I think it clearly draws a line for a lot of people on how they value players. Right. Like AJ Brown, okay, very clearly over St. Brown and Hill and Waddle. Like it draws a distinct line in the sand for a lot of people, which also why trading post startup is really, really difficult. Like a week out of your startup draft, it's so hard to do because people will look and be like, well, they'll do exactly what you just did. Well, this is actually just 2 third-rounders for you want my first-round pick for 2 thirds and my 6th rounder. It's like, that's what'll happen. That's the mental gymnastics they'll do. Oh, geez. Okay, I am interested here. He's just staring me right in the face.
Yeah, Kittle is. Yeah.
Nope. Never. J.K. Dobbins always.
I love it. You've got a really strong build too. I'm telling you, there really isn't a team on here that I hate. I like how everybody has gone so far, basically.
But it does feel like every running back pick, you're just taking your medicine. Like I'm not taking J.K. Dobbins, and I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, he's still there. I guess I'll take him.
Right. As your RB2.
With Jake, you're getting running backs that are slipping around past ADP. Like, was it Deebo Samuel still there? Or did he go off the board? Yeah, Deebo's there still. Like, people, the stench around Deebo Samuel right now is impossible to shake. He is just so horribly uninteresting. But love it. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, are you taking Deontay over Keenan Allen?
With his build, I probably would have just leaned super hard into Keenan, but I don't hate the Deontay pick either because it gives you kind of ish Keenan production at like 5 years of age difference.
Yeah, Deontay's older than you think.
Well,
he's 27, 28 now.
What? I think he's 26.
No, 27.
Is he really?
He is 27 years old.
You're a liar.
I'm 100% sure he's 27 years old. Also, you are on the clock.
Just turned 27. Okay. And
you think I don't know?
Is 31. So it's a 4
year. I don't know how old Deontay Johnson is. I know everything about him. Yeah, there goes Deebo off the board. That team is interesting to me. Hill, JSN, Deebo, ET and Najee, Geno and Lamar.
I like it. I like it. I honestly, if Deebo made it all the way down to me, I would have taken him at 709.
I debated him where I took Dobbins, and I do not like rostering Deebo Samuel. So, like that's all right. So, would you trade a 2nd rounder for 2 thirds, or a 2nd and a 7th rounder for 2 thirds?
I'll take the 2 thirds.
There we go.
I do feel like Kittle has slipped a little bit.
Yeah,
but I feel like this is just an example. Kittle and Deebo, like there is, like you said, a stench around both of them that they might fall. And if they fall, they could fall hard and be a value that you just kind of plug your nose and then just take it. Because there is a certain point, you don't really hate the player, you just hate the ADP. There's always a certain point for all these players where it makes sense to take them and then just kind of hope that their production brings them back up. All I saw was I saw an alert and I saw J.K. Dobbins' name and my brain broke for a second. And I was like, I need to read what this says. J.K. Dobbins, who has not yet practiced during training camp, has been activated today off of the PUP list.
I pray for days like this.
When do we get the notification that he has signed a 1-year deal?
Yeah, there's a 3-year extension quickly coming up behind this. Schefter's about to break it. That is, God, I love J.K. Dobbins. I love J.K. Dobbins, man.
I'm back in. I'm back in.
J.K. Dobbins propaganda back on the channel within the week.
We were in a dark spot there for sure, but they always say that the night gets darkest before the light breaks. That's
the dawn. Is that the word you're looking for?
That was the paraphrasing of the phrase. That's something in there.
The darkest before it's not dark.
It's darkest before not.
That's science.
That is the phrase.
Dalton Kincaid.
Love it.
I was hoping he slipped back to me. Where are you at with Dalton Kincaid? Like expectations for this year?
Hold on, let me make a pick and then I will answer your question.
Fair enough. It's a weird spot.
Because if I start answering a question, I'm just not going to be able to make a good pick. And I don't even know if there is a good pick.
I was going to say, I don't know if the question's the problem here. Hopkins.
There's 1 second on the clock.
I like that. I like that more than Miles Sanders.
Dalton Kincaid, year 1. I have modest expectations for. I do think that he has the ability to be a top 5 tight end, but at the same time, I'm also saying that Tyler Higbee has the ability to be a top 5 tight end on the basis of if you're a tight end and you get 60 receptions for 650 to 700 yards and, a handful of touchdowns, you're a top 5 tight end, basically, is how the position kind of goes. So those are expectations I think that are very modest for Dalton Kincaid to be able to reach that stat line and then to be able to say that he can be a top 5 tight end as a rookie. I do think that it is in the range of outcomes that he has a Kyle Pitts kind of rookie season, hopefully with more touchdowns because his offense is better. That's a very high goal and expectation, I think, but it is within the range of outcomes. I don't think he completely busts because I think he's going to be out there. He's going to be running a lot of routes, and those routes should then translate to targets. So I don't think basically the problem for rookie tight ends is if they bust, it's because they weren't on the field enough and they weren't running enough routes. I don't think that's an issue for Dalton Kincaid. So I think he's going to be fine with the ability to be a borderline top 5 tight end. With just a solid 60% outcome season.
Yeah, that is about where I'm at with him. Long term, still very excited. I think he's athletic. He's athletic enough to be a weapon, to be Mark Andrews-esque, with the quarterback to do it as well, which is not it's very difficult for tight ends to be good with a bad quarterback just because the offense can't support them. So if I can get a tight end tied to Josh Allen, great. Love it, especially at that ADP where he's going. And
situationally, where he fits in the offense as well, too. They were talking about how they drafted him to basically be their slot wide receiver, not to be a tight end that's going to put his hand in the dirt and stuff. And so when you have Stephon Diggs, who's the alpha wide receiver 1, he has his own role, always going to be the first read. You have Gabe Davis almost strictly being a deep threat, intermediate to deep threat. He's not eating up anything really short and kind of really over the middle either. So Dalton Kincaid is competing with Khalil Shakir basically for the slot role essentially. So that's why it leads me to believe that he's going to get snaps and routes because he is the best option for them to fill the void that they have in the short to intermediate range and over the middle, converting receptions into first downs.
Yep. Agreed. Also, Zach Charbonnet in the 8th.
I saw his name when I was taking Akers and debating Sanders as well. I saw Charbonnet down in there, but when I looked at Nick Chubb and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want
as your RB2. No.
The same.
I don't think you can do it with him. With him as your RB2, I don't think it works. But this is the position a lot of us put ourselves in when we commit so hard. Like when we make a very obvious win now pick, it kind of screws you. Almost lean even harder into that specific build. Man, this is it. I'd be very happy with this roster. This would be great.
YWL asks, how much does he need to add to Pittman and AJ Dillon to get Tyreek Hill and James Conner?
At least a first-round pick, probably more.
At least. I think Dillon and Conner are kind of a wash-ish value-wise. If you've identified that the team that's getting Dillon is kind of shedding aging assets and they're moving more towards a rebuild or a retool, and they want the younger running back, I think Dillon and Conner makes sense value-wise, so you can kind of scratch them off. So really, it's what's the difference between Michael Pittman and Tyreek Hill, and it's definitely minimum a first-round pick.
Yep.
Would you do a first and a second? Pittman, Dillon, first and second for Tyreek and James Conner.
Yeah, wouldn't even think about it.
I would also do that as well.
That's easy. It's such a massive upgrade at wide receiver.
Colby's in here. He's the one drafting at the 1.04.
What up, Colby?
He said that he was a little butthurt at that Dobbins pick, Justin, and then also was contemplating Zach Charbonnet, but felt the same way. He preferred Miles Sanders as his RB2 and then was hoping that Sharp would fall to him. But Sharp had to pass through Justin twice to fall back to you. We know that's not
simply not happening. like that's how thing of knowing when you know the people you're drafting with. Like when we do our listener league, people know pretty much who we would like to be taking at each spot, which isn't conducive to us having any kind of fun. But those are things that you pay attention to. It's harder to do when you're in the 4 spot rather than 1 or 2 removed from the turn. But it's frustrating when you make a pick knowing damn well a guy you like will not make it back because I am sitting there ready to draft Zach Charbonnet 1,000 times if I have to.
Absolutely. So before I'm up, Ethan's got a question. 10-team Superflex PPR, start 11, AJ Brown or Saquon Barkley, Terry McLaurin in a 2025 second.
AJ Brown, Saquon, Terry in the second.
In a start 11, I think makes this interesting.
That is a little extra meat on the bone there. I'd probably I have no feel for Terry McLaurin. I know he exists, but do you know what I mean though? I don't have thoughts about Terry McLaurin because I'm he's there. I know he's good. I also know he's probably not going to meet the expectations or the talent because quarterback play is a freaking question mark. Right. I don't know if Sam Howell answers that question. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett answers that question. I just don't have thoughts about Terry McLaurin. He's a name that he's just an enigma and has been literally his entire career because we know he's good, but we just don't know what the hell we're going to get from him.
Yeah, there's a part of me that just says, just keep AJ Brown. Even though the start 11 is nice because now you're getting 2 starters. And I think Saquon for AJ Brown, could be relatively close. That Terry McLaurin in the second is overpaying for AJ Brown in this.
I would agree.
But I think there's also something to be said about just having the elite top 5 dynasty wide receiver in your spot, and then you can fill out what's going on at the other spot that you would then have to fill that you wouldn't have had filled by Saquon and Terry McLaurin going in.
Yes.
So I think I want AJ Brown in this. The start 11 is really the only reason why it's making it interesting. But I think that's just telling me that that AJ Brown is probably more the right answer.
I completely agree. I think that's where I go. If I'm trying to think of who I would swap Terry out for, like that's relative to his current value. Let's go up on the board and look. Where did McLaurin even go? Listen, like I forgot he even got drafted because I don't see his name. Jahan Dotson, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers. Would you do any of them instead of Terry for that deal?
Sorry, I was trying to make a pick. What were the names?
Jahan Dotson, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers.
I don't think any of them really pushed the needle for me over Terry.
Does Brandon Ayuk? He's the guy that went
slightly more, but I think you got, and I don't think, like, I love Kirk as well. And I don't know if any of them really make a difference in this too.
I agree. I think AJ Brown's the keep. He's the move.
Right. I think you got to get up to Devontae Adams or Cooper Kupp, who fell here because of age and maybe could fall in value in this deal because of age, you know, that you're trading down from a 26-year-old wide receiver to a 31-year-old wide receiver, essentially, in Cooper Kupp or Devontae Adams, who's still productive, yes, but is on very much on a time limit. And to fill that gap, maybe you don't need the second at that point, but to fill that gap is a potential top 5 running back as well in Saquon.
Completely agree. Also, looking at the board, top 3 names that are left, I feel like this happens in a lot of drafts right now. Isaiah Pacheco, Trey Lance, Kadarius Toney.
What to do?
Pacheco, I think, should probably come off the board. I'm fine not pulling the trigger on. Damn, I was hoping Stafford slipped.
Are you taking Pacheco?
I'm not with my team because I have 3 running backs currently, but I'm surprised he's not off the board.
I think Connor would. If he's there, I think Connor might pull the trigger at 102.
I think that makes sense. Just because I want to fill out a starting lineup leaving this draft, I'm going to go tight end. But I'm not taking Tony. We know I'm not taking Tony. Kendre Miller's sitting there because the knee injury. Usually you see him off the board well before now. So this is where, like, the preseason, it's starting to skew how things are going because we're thinking more short term. Or like Kendre Miller is going to probably have a good NFL career. He's just going to miss a couple of weeks to start it. So he's slipping in drafts now. But it's just we get really skewed from training camp news during startup season. Because, again, people go more win now.
Evan Ingram. There it is.
He feels like the last tight end in this tier. Like, he feels like a tier break in terms of, like, production this year.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Was this Evan Ingram pick then was more of a win now move because you just took Hopkins the round before.
I got Hopkins,
you have Amari, you have Kupp, you have J.K. Dobbins.
I have a more competitive team this season.
Right. But so that's why I was interested. Like, I feel like Sam Laporta was a great target at the tight end position down in here. You can say the same about Michael Mayer, who also is the rookie tight end. Chega's young and has upside and potential. But I do feel like, Evan Ingram is probably the best pick there, especially after Njoku, after Frymuth. Well, it just makes sense.
Those 3 I kind of lump together as like a tight end tier of like production this season. All 3 of those can finish inside the top 6, top 5 maybe. Auto drafted, but there's Pacheco.
There it is.
Like, all 3 of those could easily be a top 5 tight end. They're guaranteed, kind of got bankable production. They're interesting enough.
Who we drafting? Is a quarterback coming off the board here as a QB3?
Who's left? I haven't looked at the quarterbacks even. Lance is still there. Like Mac Jones, Desmond Ridder, Will Levis, not in my life. Jimmy G, Baker, Tannehill should be higher. But like, it's just at this point, these are the quarterbacks you care about that have gone off the board. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the people I am okay starting every single week if I have to.
Right.
Anybody that's still on the board, I'm really not all that interested in. Like, after Stafford went, I was like, I'll just draft a random rookie. There's the board. I'll just draft like a random quarterback off the board late because I don't really care at that point.
Yep. Yeah, they're all basically the same. You just need a guy that when you have Mahomes and Dak Prescott, you're not starting any other quarterback out, outside the top 10.
It's irrelevant, so I don't really care.
Yeah,
I'll get if I have to start Tannehill for 1 week, fine. Like I'll do it.
Yep. Tyler is in here again.
What's up,
Tyler says that this board looks interesting so far. What are you looking at? I mean, we already talked about Quentin Johnston and kind of to an extent after that, we talked about Jordan Addison also going in the mid-4th. So we had that discussion a little bit already, but is there anything else that you're looking on here that
the running back heavy team is the funniest roster I've ever seen. Look, they scooped Kamara late too.
Just to really finish out the 5 piece, dude, of just
it's
nobody on that roster. Justin Herbert is the youngest one. Everybody else on that roster is over like 26, if not 27.
I think Pollard's
the next youngest, right?
Pollard's 26. Herbert's 25. That's it. I agree with Trevor. Debo did fall too far.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's right. I mean, like, again, it's somebody has to make that pick at some point. Like, Debo cannot just slide forever. At some point, you have to take him. And, like, the risk that's out there, it doesn't really matter when you're taking him in the 7th round. Like,
nope.
You know what I mean? Like the value or the risk is so baked into the ADP at that point that who cares? Like, it really doesn't matter all that much. That's how I felt about Kupp in the 5th. I'm like, okay. Assuming Kupp gets healthy.
Wide receiver 1 this year? Okay. Yeah, I'll take that.
In the 5th round if I have to. Like, it's not my MO when I build, but that pick kind of skewed me. Okay, let's go win now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be very competitive.
P to the R. I don't know if you're still in here. He said that he missed it again. Got to get in one of these. So we had the conversation a little bit before we started the live stream, but this may or may not become like an actual thing. But it's nice because we have the nice like alliteration for it, like Mock Draft Monday. That's something that could be a thing. So
and here's what we'll start doing though and this will be a benefit to our YouTube members. Mock Draft will get the link will get posted to our members, day before, and then we'll open it up to everybody else here as well. But nice little bonus for if you are one of our YouTube members, on top of getting all the extra videos, you'll get priority access to the mock drafts just because you're a member. You deserve it. So keep that in mind, guys, as well. Check out the YouTube memberships. But I would like to keep doing these most Mondays if we can. As long as work doesn't book up my time, my real job, let's keep doing these.
The other benefit that we have too is because we kind of go off of your work, but you said that you have this time slot kind of open. So between 12 to 1 o'clock on Eastern time, 12 to 1 Eastern time is probably the best bet for when we would do these on Monday too. So
yes,
if we are going to have a mock draft on a Monday afternoon, noon Eastern time is probably around when we're going to start. And then we throw the link out multiple places, either Justin's tweeting it out, it goes to the members like you just said, or we throw it out in the comments at the, right before we go live as well. So if anybody else gets into the live stream and is waiting for us to go live, they will see that, and then you're able to get into. So, but 12 Eastern time seems like the time that we're going to go live and do all this stuff. It's the same time that we also go live on Friday.
Yeah, or at least that's the time frame. We got 10 minutes before I have to do my actual job. If you have questions, guys, throw them in here. We can do a quick Q&A while we're on if anybody has anything. Otherwise, we can get out of here and run. Give everybody their probably go back to their actual jobs too.
Most difficult mock he's been in to find value after round 3. So yeah, Addison was drafting at the 112. He's the one who took Quentin Johnston, and he defended that. But yeah, I feel like these mock drafts are pretty sharp.
Yeah.
A couple people will fall here and there. That's just natural. Like, Deebo Samuel fell, George Kittle fell. We can talk about maybe a couple of the other guys on here too, but
Jameson Williams is slipping.
Yeah. But I think that that's actually kind of also warranted, is that we have not gotten a lot of good stuff coming out of training camp, out of reports. Preseason, he had that drop.
That drop is brutal.
It's just it. So we're getting all that stuff, and he's not looking good, and then he's gonna sit for 6 weeks, and he won't be back until mid-October. Like that's
Not great.
there's a lot of ick going around on Jameson Williams right now.
There is a ton of it. There is a ton of it, and it is nasty. But in the 7th round, like I thought about taking him over Dobbins. Like he was, if I wanted to stick with the wide receiver route, I thought about going Jameson over Dobbins.
Mm-hmm. He would have been in consideration for me at my pick as well. He went 2 picks before my Hollywood pick. And if I wanted a player that, because Hollywood and Christian Kirk, they feel similar. So in order to avoid redundancy, kind of, even though I love Hollywood, if I wanted to diversify kind of how my players, what their skill sets are and their upside and all that kind of stuff, Jameson Williams would have been in consideration there too.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right.
I guess that's it.
Let's wrap it.
You know how terrible we are at closing these streams, Justin.
You just gotta do it mid sentence.
Just say goodbye, and then like all of a sudden it's gone. We're done.
Yeah, no exactly. That's exactly what we're gonna do.
So, well, before I just hit, there we go. Let me switch over to here. Currently in a 12-team superflex tight end premium startup draft. He's up next at pick 701. He has Patrick Mahomes, Kyler, JSN, Quentin Johnson, Ayuk, Goddard, Dotson. Goff, Pickett, Deontay are all available. Do you have any preferences between those three with this roster that he's built?
Not Pickett. Just not doing Kenny Pickett. Especially if I have Mahomes and Kyler. I don't think you need Kenny Pickett. QJ Ayuk, Dotson, JSN. I'd probably go Deontay.
Who else is there at quarterback?
Yeah, Goff's not. Goff could get you pretty far this year until Kyler. Like Goff is a good stopgap.
The Lions, I think I talked about in a video a couple months ago. I had Jared Goff as a player that I was interested in as a quarterback that I'm buying this year, not just because of the season that he had last year, but then you also look at his schedule to start the year is really, really nice because one of the big things that Goff had last year was he was terrible on the road, but he was phenomenal at home. And you can kind of pinpoint the matchups when he was at home and then against really bad defenses that Geno would be good. So I think 3 of Geno's first 5 games are at home. And then he has the Thursday night game, which opens up the season. That's away, but it's against Kansas City.
Did you just mix up Geno and Goff? Did you read the comment and start talking about Geno?
Maybe I did. Goff. But this is all accurate about Goff. So the Lions played the Chiefs opening night, week 1, Thursday night. So that is one of, I think, 2 road games for Goff in the first 5 games. But in order for the Lions to be competitive against Mahomes, they're going to have to score and throw with Jared Goff. So I'm expecting him to be solid for that. Be good for the Jonathan Taylor's also back.
No, he's still on top.
Yeah, but he's I guess is back with the team. So there's that. That's good.
Cool.
So Geno is also there.
I want Geno over Goff.
I think I'd take Geno over this whole entire
Because here's the thing. Goff needs everything to go. He needs everything perfect for him to maybe be a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah.
Geno's ceiling is just so much higher, which is crazy to talk about considering Geno was a backup for 7 years until what felt like a minute ago. So that's a little bit different. But Geno is, I think, a better upside play there. You have Mahomes, you have Kyler, you have Geno. Continue with that trend. The like Adams in there. The wide receivers are way better in Seattle. Things I just prefer Geno.
Geno's opening schedule, so they play at home against the Rams. Rams defense is terrible, especially the secondary now without Jalen Ramsey. So he could eat there. Then they play Detroit.
Gonna eat.
Then they play at home against Carolina. That honestly, I would say that's a good matchup for the run game for the pass game, but I think Charbonnet and Walker could probably each run for 200 that game. And then they play the Giants, then the Bengals, and then the Cardinals. But this is by the end of October, so Kyler is probably back, and you're probably confident enough in what Kyler's giving you by that point that you're at least in consideration there. But until Kyler returns, Geno has some good matchups as well. And like you said, higher ceiling, better weapons. Also gives you the rushing ability as well that Jared Goff's not going to give you.
No.
So I would take Geno.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. I like that a lot.
There we go.
There it is. And cut.
And all right. Thank you everybody so much for joining us for this mock draft Monday. We'll see if we do this again next week, but we will be streaming then on, or at least I will. I don't know if Justin's going to be Joining me. We'll have to see.
I think it's open right now, but we'll see.
Friday, same time, 12 Eastern time. That's just a general Q&A. So if you got some time to hang out Friday over your lunch break or anything else, hop in the stream. And yeah, have a great week, guys. And we'll see you Friday.
See you.